very upset, and I couldn't control myself.
I love you, Mommy.
For Monique Baugh's loved ones, the frustration is hard to hide, as the woman who lured her to her death is sentenced for the second time.
She sits in there and she figure out how to get shorter time. And what we feeling, she should feel that for the rest of her life. Her family should feel it for the rest of their life.
It was New Year's Eve in Minneapolis. Families were preparing to ring in the final hours of 2019. Fireworks, dinners, countdowns, and resolutions filled the air. But for one family, the night would be defined not by celebration, but by tragedy. For one young mother, what seemed like a promising career appointment would end in an alley under the harsh glow of a streetlight, with gunshots that echoed into silence. This is the story of Monique Baugh. Monique was 28 years old, a mother of 2 daughters, and a rising real estate agent in the Twin Cities. Those who knew her described her as hardworking, ambitious, and deeply devoted to her family. She was the type of woman who could light up a room with her energy, while still balancing the pressures of motherhood and career. Her dream was to build a better life for her girls, to give them the kind of stability and future she had always envisioned. She wasn't just selling homes, she was building a foundation for her own. That December, Monique was working hard through the holiday season, showing properties and closing deals while caring for her daughters. On December 31st, she received a call that would change everything. Someone requested a home showing in Maple Grove, a suburb northwest of Minneapolis. For Monique, it seemed routine. Real estate agents often take last-minute calls, even on holidays. What she didn't know was that this was not a client at all. According to prosecutors, the call came from a burner phone, a setup designed to lure her. Monique drove to the property that afternoon. Surveillance cameras later captured her arrival. She parked her car and walked toward what she believed was an appointment. But inside that house, something else awaited her. She was ambushed, bound with duct tape, forced into the back of a rented U-Haul. In those terrifying moments, Monique's world was ripped away from her. While she was being abducted, another crime was unfolding. That same evening, her boyfriend's home was targeted in a violent home invasion. Armed men forced their way inside. Monique's 2 young daughters were present. Shots rang out. Her boyfriend was hit but survived. The children witnessed chaos that no child should ever see. According to law enforcement, these 2 crimes were not random. They were connected. Later that night, around 6:30 p.m., the U-Haul carrying Monique stopped in North Minneapolis. In a snowy alley, she was pulled from the vehicle. Neighbors would later report hearing the sound of gunfire. Monique was executed at close range, 3 gunshot wounds ending her life instantly. She was left lying in the cold. A mother, a daughter, a professional woman whose only mistake was trusting a request for a showing. The city was shaken. The cruelty of the crime, the orchestration, the execution-style killing, sent waves of fear and outrage through Minneapolis. Law enforcement immediately launched an intense investigation. Every detail mattered, and the trail of evidence would soon reveal how calculated this murder had been. Detectives began by tracing the U-Haul. Surveillance footage showed it moving across the city. Records revealed it had been rented earlier that day. Inside, investigators found duct tape and nails, items prosecutors later tied directly to the suspects. Cell phone data painted another picture. A burner phone used to lure Monique pinged towers that placed suspects at key locations. Piece by piece, the puzzle was coming together. According to warrants, investigators also learned of a possible motive. Monique's boyfriend was allegedly tied to rivalries in the local drug trade. Prosecutors argued in court that her abduction and killing were designed as retaliation. These claims came from informants and warrants, and while they provided context, what mattered most in court were the hard facts. The U-Haul, the duct tape, the burner phone, the surveillance footage. By early January 2020, arrests were made. Cedric Berry and Barry Davis were charged with kidnapping and murder. Prosecutors presented them as part of a plan to not only attack Monique's boyfriend, but to send a brutal message. In the days that followed, the community mourned. Friends and family members described Monique as a woman who loved her children fiercely. Her death was not just an act of violence, it was an act that shattered a family. The trials that followed were harrowing. Jurors heard how Monique was lured, abducted, and killed. They saw the evidence: the duct tape that bore the suspect's connection, the surveillance that tracked movements, the cell phone pings that tied the crime together. The defense argued otherwise, but the prosecution laid out a chilling timeline of events. In the end, the jury was convinced. Both Cedric Berry and Barry Davis were convicted on all counts. Each was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In court, Monique's family listened as the verdict was read. There was no celebration, only grief and the faint sense that justice, while necessary, could never bring her back. But the case did not end there. Appeals followed. Defense attorneys challenged evidence, questioned the admissibility of testimony, and pushed for reversals. The Minnesota Supreme Court reviewed filings, examining whether the trial had been conducted fairly. But the weight of the evidence held firm. The convictions stood. Life sentences remained in place. Justice, at least in the eyes of the law, had been delivered. For Monique's family, though, the pain endures. Her mother has spoken of the unbearable loss of a daughter. Her siblings have carried forward her memory, fighting to ensure her story is told with dignity. Her 2 young daughters grow up without the woman who brought them into the world, a reminder of what was stolen on that cold night in 2019. In the years since, Monique's legacy has reached further than Minneapolis. Her case has been featured in books and even a Hulu docuseries, ensuring that her story resonates beyond her community. It is a tragic reminder of the risks faced by real estate agents, professionals who often meet strangers in unfamiliar homes, vulnerable to the worst possibilities. In the wake of her murder, conversations about safety protocols in the real estate industry intensified. Calls for better systems, check-ins, and protections echoed across the country. As we reflect on Monique's life and death, we must remember her not only as a victim, but as a woman whose story continues to shape conversations around safety, justice, and resilience. She was a mother, a daughter, a professional, someone who deserved to grow old, to watch her children thrive, to celebrate many more New Year's Eves. If you believe stories like Monique's deserve to be remembered, subscribe so her voice is never forgotten. This case also shows how even the smallest details can matter. A phone ping, a piece of tape, a single surveillance image. These fragments of evidence built the case that delivered justice. Hit like if you believe every victim deserves this level of investigation. And share this story, not for the horror of the crime, but to honor Monique's life. Her name should not be lost in the headlines. Her daughters should know that people cared enough to remember. Today, the men convicted of killing Monique Baugh will never walk free again. But for her family, justice is bittersweet. The sentence may close a courtroom, but it does not close the wound. What remains is a legacy of resilience, of remembrance, and of a call to make the world safer for women who step into unknown spaces, trusting that they will return home. Monique Baugh should still be here. And though her story is one of tragedy, it is also one of enduring love, from her family, from her community, and from all who continue to say her name.